What I'm about to share with you today may not be comfortable to hear or even convenient, but I promise you, the point of this message is to enlighten you and share information, profound information that you deserve to know. Because ultimately, the goal today, I want to take out a lot of frustration and aggravation and disappointment and fear and anger and maybe even sadness. Because if you have been living with a lot of guilt and shame, whether you're consciously aware of it or not, guilt and shame, frustration, aggravation, anger, maybe a feeling of I should be further along, or I don't understand what's wrong with me. I should be so happy. I should be satisfied. I have everything I could ever wish for. And if you have been experiencing sort of like maybe an inner void, or like there's something missing, or maybe even that there's something wrong with you, a sense of I'm not enough, or I'm not worthy, or I don't deserve. And maybe there's even a lot of anxiety about the future, ruminating thoughts, worrisome thoughts. If you tend to be somebody who, in your definition, maybe you say, I procrastinate all the time, or I self-sabotage all the time, or I should be doing all these things and I can't motivate myself, or I should have more energy, or I should have figured this out, or I should be a better partner to my family or to my loved ones, then this is for you. On the flip side, if you are somebody, and I want to go deep into this conversation so that you can understand why you might be experiencing that. And please, most importantly, understand this is not your fault. You have been accusing yourself very, very wrongly and very, very harshly, and that's not useful. And I will show you why and how. On the flip side, if you are somebody, if you're living life in a state of flow and grace and joy and bliss, and things are just happening for you, and you feel inner peace and you feel excitement, and you wake up and you just can't even wait to get your day started, and maybe your life isn't perfect and you don't have everything you want the way you want it yet, but there's a sense of inner peace, a sense of inner calm, a sense of grace, a sense of acceptance, a sense of joy, that regardless how perfect or imperfect things are, you're just feeling really good about life and curious about life and excited about life, right? And if that is you, in addition, right, you have amazing relationships. You really are connected with the people that you care about, deeply connected, intimately connected. You enjoy the relationships. And it might only be 2.5 people. You know what I mean? Because typically the people that are, that get to this place, they typically don't have and don't need a huge circle, but the ones that are real, they are real, and they're deep relationships, and they're very nurturing and supportive relationships, supporting relationships, right? And where you can even really enjoy your success, right? Enjoy how far you've come, and things kind of flow, life flows, and you're you're in a really good place mentally, emotionally, physically, right? Then this is not for you. Please, if that is you, keep scrolling, because I'm not here to waste your time. And please, whatever you do, teach others, because clearly you have found a way. And therefore, I mean, I'm not here to tell people what to do, but so many people would benefit from learning how to get to that place. And again, if that is you, congratulations. It's a nice place to be. But all the other things that I mentioned earlier, if you are in a state of frustration and anxiety, maybe even depression, right? You have anger issues, addiction, unwanted behaviors. And like I said, maybe you feel like life is right now 1 foot on the gas, 1 foot on the brake. And also keep in mind, everything that I'm sharing with you today is based on my own experience, not just personally my own life, but with the work I do with every single person, every single client. I see the same exact pattern. Now, maybe in a different color, in a different flavor, obviously with a different story, but it's the same thing. And I have come to something what I consider so epic, so profound, that I didn't learn from a book. I didn't learn from a teacher. I didn't learn from a guru. I didn't learn from, philosophy and theology and reading a cute little book and, self-help. I learned it from experience. So this is based on experience. This is based on evidence. And this is based on my own evolution. So I'm going to make this big, bold statement. If all those things, right, that I mentioned, if you're living in a place of inadequacy issues, insecurities, limitations, self-doubt, you're second-guessing yourself all the time, you have been traumatized. And you are still carrying that trauma. And that is the problem. That is the real problem. So basically, you are still living with unresolved emotional and mental wounds that have not yet been healed, transformed, transmuted. I don't know what word really to use here, but, and I can prove it to you. So if you're curious, I have some notes here because I wanted to make sure that that we don't miss anything here. So like I said, because I know typically, right, people who do experience a lot of what they call self-sabotage, procrastination, I should be further along, I don't understand what's wrong with me, I don't know why I have depression or anxiety, or I should be, going to the gym more often. I should stop overeating. I should, I shouldn't be working so much, whatever that might be. Very often that comes with shame and blame and guilt. And I can logically understand why you might shame and blame yourself and even feel guilt about, oh my God, I shoulda, coulda, woulda, and I didn't. And we often look back at the past and say, wow, look at me, I was such an idiot, or there I failed again. I'm here to tell you that is the wrong accusation, okay? Because the right accusation is actually, you are a victim of trauma. And I don't like the word victim as in staying in a victim mentality. That's not useful. But a fact is a fact. Because a human being, I don't know how to put this into words. We all are so capable, so powerful. Our potential is, how do you explain? Absolutely insurmountable. But if we are still stuck from old stories in the past, if we have these unresolved traumas, if we have things that happen to us that we did not yet process, we're going to kind of stay stuck in that loop. And that is going to become a repetitive cycle in our current life. Because the truth is, you should be, you're right. For the fact that you're striving and you're motivated and you're hungry and you want more, that's healthy. Whether you want more stuff or more happiness or more inner peace, that's irrelevant. That's your business, nobody's business. But for the fact that you still want and you have this lust for life or desire, that's a very, very good thing. Even though, right, in our society, they teach us that, oh, you should be humble and you shouldn't ask for so much. And who do you think you are? And self-promotion is frowned upon. And, and so we live in this very distorted, some of it anyhow, distorted idea of what we should be striving for. But I'm here to tell you, if you know, right, if there is a burning fire inside of you, whether you want this for yourself, whether you want this for your family, whether you want this for your community, whether you want to impact the world in a big way, that's healthy. And for the fact that you're still feeling this, that's a very good sign. That means you have not been completely shut down and desensitized and numbed out. There's still so much life inside of you. So that's a very, very healthy thing. And for the fact that you're feeling that, that's healthy. And that's potent. And that's really, really good if you ask me. But there's all these things that are literally polluting your experience and your expression of who you really are. So again, wrong accusation. What you really are experiencing is a victim of trauma. And I'm going to get into that deeper so that you can understand, because a lot of times when I say the word trauma, a lot of people think that it has to do with war zone, or it has to do with major accidents in their life, or that it has to do with some kind of crime. Well, those are the obvious. I mean, again, anybody who has experienced blatant, obvious, horrific things and didn't have the support to get through that and didn't have the help when they needed it, that's the obvious trauma, right? But I'm talking about what we would call, for lack of a better word, let's call it sneaky trauma. Let me just back up a little bit, because let's talk about symptoms. Again, if somebody is experiencing, in our language, what we might define as self-sabotage, procrastination, self-doubt, anxiety, depression, second-guessing yourself, ruminating about the past, feeling guilt and shame about the past, feeling anxiety about the future. When is the other shoe gonna drop? Oh my God, if I become too successful, I'm gonna lose it all. Or as I mentioned earlier, I'm not good enough. Or if you already have aches and pains in your body, if there's a lot of tension in your body, if you have chronic pain, if you have been carrying weight that no matter what you do, you can't lose, if you have had an unwanted habit, behavior that no matter what, you just can't stop, whether that be overeating or shopping or sex or gambling or over-exercising or overworking or plastic surgery or social media. I mean, there's so many different. Recently, for whatever reason, I have been working with a lot of young people who tell me, it's like confession time, that they are addicted to cheating on their partner, even though they're madly in love, right? And again, it's like it makes no sense, but somehow this compulsion has been driving them. So again, makes no sense. All those things I just mentioned, I call those a symptom of a deeply rooted problem. Now here's where it gets interesting, because what I now understand, and this to me, this is gold, when I started to connect the dots and I was like, wait a minute, every single human being, everybody who I've ever worked with, everybody had a different kind of symptom. But now I understand. The symptom is a secret code. The symptom carries within itself a secret language. The symptom is a message from the subconscious mind. Speaking of subconscious here, when we make conscious what's in our subconscious, which is in our body, that's when you can not only experience healing and freedom and inner peace, but that's when you will start to turn your life around in the best way possible. And you will finally begin to see who you really are, what you're really made of, how powerful you are, how amazing, how beautiful, how capable, how brilliant, how unique you really are. That's the epitome of self-expression, right? Authenticity, who you really are. I don't want to get ahead of me right now, but right, so when we make conscious what has been subconscious, a whole world opens up for you. Now, as I said, all these symptoms, whether they're chronic pain, whether they are, as I said, the issues are in the tissues, tension in the body, some kind of behavior issues, self-sabotage, addiction, procrastination, I should be more motivated, I should have more energy, I should have more willpower, I can't let go of the past, I have these anger issues, I'm addicted to drugs. however that shapes vaping, smoking, it's all the same in my book. It's all the same. I know this, not to sound disrespectful. This is with respect to you. What that really is, all those symptoms that the body, think about it. It's like a temper tantrum. It's like a scream for help. Now, let's take this further. Let's say you have a little child, 2, 3 years old, and that child makes a little peep, or they are like, oh, mommy, this hurts, or whatever, right? And then nobody listens. And then the child, eventually, a lot of children will then create a temper tantrum. Now, clearly, this child is in pain. They're not being a brat. They don't know how to be a brat yet. They do not have the logical, conscious intelligence yet to be a brat. A child of that age doesn't have the ability to say, oh, I'm going to show them. I'm going to get back to them. I'm going to start screaming at 3 o'clock in the morning just to get back at them. A child doesn't have the ability to do that. That comes much, much later. And any cry for help needs to be taken seriously, right? And so imagine this child has a temper tantrum. And because clearly they're in pain, whatever the pain might be, a full diaper, although I don't know, I don't remember if a 3-year-old is out of diapers yet, doesn't matter, whatever, right? But imagine if what we do is we give that child a pill, here just to numb you, just to shut you off, just to quiet you down. And that pill works because that pill is morphine or something like that. And the child is quiet, right? Well, do you think that's the appropriate treatment or approach? Or do you think that's the solution? Or do you think that maybe it would be a lot more useful to actually sit down with this child and sort of have a conversation to the best of their ability so that, right? Do you think that maybe that will be the more intelligent, more responsible way to take care of this child? And a 3-year-old really doesn't ask for all that much. It's kind of basic, right? But think about it. And again, this is from my experience. Our society treats things like anxiety and depression for the big picture. Ultimately, once all things have, and this is, people come to me when they've exhausted all these things. They have tried the pills, they've tried the potions, the lotions, the therapies, the interventions, the self-help books, all these things. And they're still stuck in the same place. Well, that's a good thing because it means you did not yet get the help you wanted because you have been treated with a pill. And that's not what a person needs. Another example, imagine somebody has an accident and all of a sudden their arm starts to hurt. Okay, now they go to the doctor. The doctor takes an x-ray, right? And they realize, oh, your arm is broken. Perfect. Now we know what's wrong. The pain, obviously, the body produced a symptom of pain, right? We were paying attention, went to the doctor confirms, yes, this is broken, gives us a cast. Within 5-6 weeks, that arm is healed. And we're like, oh my God, doctor, you're amazing. You did such a great job. Wow, thank you, thank you, thank you. Well, why do you think that body part healed? Because of the doctor? I mean, certainly. The doctor was there. What did the doctor do? The doctor gave the proper support. The doctor gave the proper treatment so that you can naturally heal. Now, the doctor could have given a pill and said, here's a pill for that. Would that have been the most responsible way to treat this and to solve this and to heal this? Exactly. So we in this society, unfortunately, have been told and taught to treat all these issues that, by the way, can be solved easily and effortlessly with a pill. And that's why the pain persists. And that's why the pain gets bigger. And it will express itself, because here's the thing. If that arm doesn't get fixed, eventually there's going to be more pain. There might even become an infection. This might even radiate into other parts of our body. This is going to eventually create a lot of asymmetry. And that person is going to eventually have posture issues and they won't be able to walk or move their body the way, right? So a pill, now listen, again, I'm not saying a pill or medicine isn't the answer. I'm saying if you have done that and that still didn't work, then we need to look at what's underneath the surface, right? Because technically, with, my goodness, the sophisticated medicine that we have, yeah, it should have fixed the problem. Because if there really is a chemical imbalance or anything, it should have fixed the problem. But what if it didn't? What do we tell these people? Well, you're just too broken. We're going to give up on you. There's nothing else you can do. You're perfectly fine. How disrespectful is that? Not only is it disrespectful, it is not useful. It's not the appropriate conversation to have. And it's, that's not the truth. But ultimately, and this is really the most important part. As I said, you have been accusing yourself wrongly. You do not deserve that kind of accusation. Because logically, think about somebody like you, as well-meaning, as hardworking, as educated, as brilliant, as smart, as invested. Think about how much time, money, energy you have spent and invested in you to get to where you are. Why would somebody like that self-sabotage and procrastinate? That makes absolutely no sense. Do you see? Wrong accusation. There's something deeper going on. What is going on here, and I'm going to explain to you how that happened, is actually a survival pattern, survival mechanism, survival program that is still running the show from your subconscious mind. And the subconscious mind, the only way it can communicate to us is by producing symptoms of pain, symptoms. Here is another symptom, is procrastination. Another symptom is the belief of I'm not good enough. Another symptom is second guessing yourself. Another symptom is I don't trust other people because they only lie to me and I get cheated. And another symptom is anger issues. Another symptom is irritable bowel syndrome, like literally any sensation in the body. But here is why your body is producing these messages and these secret codes that, again, you have the answers to decoding this. I don't. I mean, together we can, because that is what I learned from my clients. Once we sat down and once we really listened to this person, once that person was able to relax and really feel what they were feeling, speak what's on their mind, whether that's accusatory, for now, that's fine, I'll take it. Right? A lot of people, especially things like anxiety, fear of public speaking, panic attacks, that's kind of my specialty, but I now understand, regardless of what the symptom is, it's all the same. It's a cry for help from your body, mind. The mind is the conscious mind, the body is the subconscious mind, and this is how they communicate with each other. But nobody taught us. Nobody taught us how to speak this language. And so here's what happened ultimately. And again, remember, this is in your life, this is going to show up. In everybody else's life, it's going to show up differently. But this is what happened. You experienced something. Let's call that the traumatic event. Okay? That event most likely happened when you were very, very young. And when that happened, you either, so there's many different ways, you felt either overwhelmed, you were in a state of shock, you felt confused, you had paralyzing fear, what else? Or loss. You felt helpless, you felt lost, you felt abandoned, you felt hurt. And this created a very, very distorted realization, because innately and intuitively you knew, or you thought you knew, that you depend on the people that are, most of the time this happened within a very small circle. You knew and you thought that you depended, and your survival, right, depends on how these people treat you, how they nurture you, how they support you, how they teach you. And so intuitively you know that. But what if those same people are causing the hurt? Can you understand the confusion, the shock a person might feel, the overwhelm of emotions, of ideas and thoughts and conclusions that child will draw because of that event, because of that experience? And the child is now left with those emotions. The child is now left with that hurt, with that confusion, with that paralyzed fear, with those are pretty much the biggest one, the devastation and even the terror. Right? And here's the thing, it doesn't even, I'm not even saying that we shouldn't have experienced bad things and good things. That's not the point here. The point is, if you had experienced the same exact thing, and if you had somebody, an adult, an authority figure, somebody that you look up to, that was able to move you through that and support you and love you and nurture you and explain to you, that traumatic event would have turned out completely differently. You would have walked away like, all right, okay, fine, I get it. All right, this happened, and right? It would have been a completely different experience. You would have regained your sense of safety, regained your sense of trusting human beings, because you learned in a split second, oh my God, these people are here to help me, to nurture me, to support me. I'm a little child. I do depend on them. But most people, unfortunately, did not have that experience. Most people had the experience of being disrespected, being maybe yelled at, humiliated, criticized, judged, shamed, blamed. What are you crying about? Go to your room, or I will give you something to cry about. Children are seen, not heard. And can you imagine what something like that will cause in a human being? Do you think that maybe, just maybe, that person might start to think, I'm not good enough? There's something wrong with me. I am the broken one. Because if these people can't even take care of me, or don't want to take care of me, because they just blatantly left me behind, left me in the dust, left me in a total state of shock, absolutely a child will self-inflict the I am not enough. And so what do you think something like this will cause when that child becomes that child that carries all this baggage with them into adulthood? Because they never had the opportunity to figure out the root cause of that procrastination and anxiety and depression and addiction and fear and panic attacks and emotional eating and all these other things, right? That we then often think, I should have figured this out. I should. You couldn't have, because you don't have the conscious realization yet. But when we go back and we identify what is the root cause, why does this person, who is a perfectly perfect human being, smart, intelligent, bright, hardworking, generous, they really want what's best for their family, for their community, makes no sense. But once you get to that place and you finally are able to take a look at that, and you're finally able to process those emotions that are still bottled up inside of your system, and this is what creates the temper tantrum. This is what creates the pressure cooker inside of you. This does not warrant blame. This actually warrants, I know it's going to sound weird, but celebration. This is cause for celebration, because for me personally, when somebody reaches out and they tell me I've already done everything, but I still feel X, Y, and Z, I'm like, oh my God, this person is so in touch with themselves. This is gold. That is what we get to really look into and communicate with. As they say, the tissues are in the issues. The issues are in the tissues. And whether that issue is a migraine headache, whether it's cancer, whether it's something with your thyroid, whether it's fear of something, again, those are all symptoms. And all those symptoms are your superpower. They are all a secret code. There's a language there, there's a message there, and you and only you are the only person who has the information we need. And once you unpack it, and once you understand it, and once you gain the big picture, your symptom will go bye-bye. Because the symptom is then going to feel like that little child that is finally getting the relief, finally getting, somebody's listening to me, somebody's hearing me, somebody's understanding me. And that's all you really ever needed and asked for and wanted. That's all you ever needed. Because you're perfectly capable of taking care of yourself as an adult. You're perfectly capable of being successful. You are perfectly capable of becoming wealthy if that's what you want. You're perfectly capable to have inner peace and to experience joy and to enjoy your relationships and connect to human beings and learn the ability to trust certain people, not all people, right? But you get to then make that distinction, right? Who has the privilege to get behind that red velvet rope? Who is worthy of my time? And who and what, by the way, who and what? Meaning, right, if you have been holding on to a job because you think you have to, if you have been in a toxic relationship because you think you have to, because there's nobody else out there, if you have been riddled with bad health, remember, there's a good reason for that. And please, please, please stop blaming yourself. Because again, I understand we live in a society where that almost seems normal and natural. No, it's not. Because that leads to more pain and more suffering and more hurt. And you don't need more of that. Because if that worked, you would have been on the other side of that. Typically makes it worse. Because it's just another program that we learn in childhood that then we keep regurgitating this whole self-blame and self-shame and, inner critic talk. And it's awful. It's awful. You deserve love. You deserve nurturing and support and kindness and care. The kind of care that you desire to have. Whatever that means to you. And everybody likes to be cared for a bit differently. Some people love physical touch. Other people love to hear the sound of I love you. Other people, right, love gifts, or even just somebody looks at you a certain way and your heart just melts. We all have different ways, but you're the only person who knows what that looks like. And that, right, gives you the fuel. And one of the most important things you could ever do for yourself in this lifetime is to learn how to give yourself that. But that's very, very hard to do if we hold on to all these programs and survival mechanisms and coping skills and, on that's what causes the pollution and the distortion and all of that, the cloud on top of everything. You can't even see yourself. Because your body is still really riddled with all this pain from the past, which for a lot of people, again, causes that disassociation, that numbness. And that's why a drug addict becomes a drug addict. That does not warrant us calling him a loser or a failure. Oh my God, it hurts me. No, that person has been so severely traumatized that they learned the best way to deal with life is to just numb out. Was the most intelligent thing they ever did, because the pain was just so overwhelming. So overwhelming, they just learned how to numb out so that they can take more abuse. Well, what do you think might happen to a person once they can get their hand on drugs? Yeah, exactly. That intelligence stays intelligent. Now, I know, not a good long-term solution, obviously, but very intelligent because it works. And so what if we can give that person the relief and the comfort and the healing and the health and the help that they deserve to have so that they can get back in touch into their body, into their emotions, being able to feel again while also feeling safe. Naturally. Naturally. Not with a pill, but with your own healing mechanism. just like that arm that was broken, that with the right support, with the right tools, right, with the right cast, the right finesse from the doctor didn't do the healing. The doctor provided the support. Your body did the healing. So I'm just looking if I left out anything. So ultimately, the most important message is that, again, I wouldn't be saying this if I hadn't seen it. Because yes, science is great and all that, but I am a fan of, and this is how I love to work, I love to see what is practical and what works. And rather than just reading it from a science book, which is a good start, I want to see it with my own eyes. I want evidence in my life, and only then will I share this information. So for me, now, after 10 plus years, there is so much evidence where I have witnessed things I wasn't prepared for. I was like, what? That just happened? I wasn't prepared. That our body very often actually has the ability for instantaneous healing. I didn't know. Yes, I heard about information like that. My teachers had told me, and they had warned me as if it required warning, because that's not yet common sense or ordinary conversations you hear, right? It's not yet traditional, but I can tell you from my experience, I've seen it, I've experienced it. I am so grateful. And because of that, I'm happy to share this with you. So if you are at your wit's end, if you are sick and tired of being sick and tired, and you have already exhausted everything, and you think that, well, that's just how it is, and you just have to deal with it, and you just have to, no, you don't. No, you don't. You just haven't. Again, it's not your fault. It's not anybody else's fault. It's the fault of the approach. You just haven't found what works yet. That's all. It's as simple as that. You have the ability, right, to really to understand that secret code that is maybe screaming right now. So I hope this helped somebody today. If you want to continue this conversation or you have any questions, because my goal is to really explain this to the best of my ability. Every day it's like I'm getting more downloads, I'm getting more information, I'm getting more insights, mostly when I work with my clients. And I've also learned that a lot happens intuitively when I work with my clients, which is, I learned to trust that, because a lot of times it gives us sort of this fast pass to, success. And I've learned to trust that and to lean into that and to be like, okay, this is almost like a spiritual phenomenon, and I worship and appreciate it, because I have now again learned that, yes, I should trust it, and both of us are being rewarded from that, right? And so really, my goal is to put this in words so that you can understand it. And I hope you did. If you didn't, please let me know what was confusing, what did you not understand, what was helpful, and maybe, I don't know, what kind of information do you want? Would you like me to share stories, real life stories of people? Would you like me to, how can I give you more? That's sort of my last question. So let me know, and I promise I will deliver on my promise. All right? Much love and peace, and I'll see you soon.